Okay, last but not least in our Rapid Fire Project Showcase is Deanna Lentini. Deanna is a 24-year-old grad student at U of T. In her spare time, she runs Fix the Six, which is a volunteer committee that strives to humanize homelessness. Deanna started Fix the Six during her undergrad when she wanted to find a way to give more while spending less, and she came up with a no-cost donation model. So please welcome to the stage, Deanna Lentini.
This is Peter. Peter is an 89-year-old World War II veteran who fought for his country in Bulgaria. Peter moved to Toronto as a young adult and spent his life working in construction, building homes across the city. He may have even built one of the homes you're living in right now. Peter loves spending his afternoons in the park feeding the pigeons, but unfortunately the park is what makes up most of Peter's living space and not any of the homes he helped build. Peter spends his evenings at the Salvation Army up the street, and that is because Peter is 89 and Peter is homeless. There are many ideas that we have attached to the term homeless people. Some of them we might have picked up from personal experiences. Some of them we may have learned as prejudices passed on through our community, but I'm sure some of them must be incorrect. When I was a little girl, I would tug on my dad's hand and ask him for change, and I would run back to drop it into the hands or the cup of whoever I had passed by. I continued this habit through university as I would set aside all my loonies and toonies and fill my outside coat pockets with them so that way I always had something to give whenever I was walking downtown. Now, why would a little kid do this when so many people walk by the homeless community as if they were invisible? I think that's because when I was small, I was not taught to see homeless people. I was taught to see people who were homeless. And late into university, I realized that my habit was costing me as I went downtown more and more often. So instead of cutting back what I gave, I looked for a way to give differently. And I came up with all of my new gift cards that were freebie giveaways on campus. I thought that the $5 Tim's card that I get for free actually costs me less to give than a toonie or a loonie because I didn't pay for the card in the first place. My friend Matthew, he started thinking about the promotion with the Raptors and Pizza and how you can use a ticket to get a free slice after a game. And he started thinking about how he could leverage this program for the homeless community. And together, we were rethinking giving. And so Fix the Six was born. Fix the Six is a volunteer committee that's trusteed by West Neighborhood House, which is a United Way agency that serves the west side of downtown Toronto. I took my idea using gift cards and I turned it into something called the Regift Card program. So I started a cross-campus campaign where I set up donation boxes across York University and I asked students for their partly used and unused, unwanted new gift cards. We pooled them together and then we bought donations for homeless shelters and homeless services across the city. In 4 weeks, students donated over $2,400 in gift cards. We purchased things like hygiene items, but we take all gift cards. So we got creative. We purchased a bunch of books for a library at a women and children's shelter, and we're able to send a youth shelter to the movies. We also donate our gift cards to our friends on the street. Matthew started 100 for the Homies, and he started collecting tickets after Raptors games and donating them to shelters within 24 hours so people could get a slice of pizza. We stood outside the ACC with a group of volunteers, collected all the tickets in bins, then we dumped out all the tickets, we sorted through them and organized them, and then we packaged them all up and we dropped them off in the morning. In 3 seasons, we collected over 20,000 tickets and donated them to shelters. So together, we had started programs that were creating incredible impact, but at no direct cost to the donor. Our social mission is to humanize homelessness. We hope that by sharing the stories of those we serve on social media, we'll reframe narratives. Narratives that once may have been stereotyped and prejudiced will suddenly become human and heartfelt if we learn more about those who are serving. We're hoping that when next time you're downtown, instead of walking by faces that have no names, you'll start to see Marilyn and David and Raj, and Ted and Shannon and Bill. Because who would have thought when you're just walking by that if Ted had the power to change anything in the world, he wishes that we would all be givers instead of takers? Or that Shannon is an author and has a book available on Amazon? Or that Raj immigrated to Toronto from Sri Lanka in the 70s, and he says that as hard as his life is being homeless, he has no regrets about coming to Canada. If we learn more about the homeless community, then homelessness is not seen as a choice, and it's exposed as a tragedy that no one should endure. If we humanize this community as residents of Toronto just like everybody else, then homelessness becomes an emergency and it becomes a crisis that cannot be overlooked. And finally, if we humanize this community as equal, and we throw out the notion that wealth determines worth, and we stop placing blame on people for their suffering, our only option is to start making changes. Maybe things are the way they are because to us, we don't see a community made up of people. We think it's made up of homeless people. Thank you.